During the early 1930s, our country was going through a Great Depression. In the mid-1930s, our land was ravaged by drought and high winds. These winds caused massive dust storms that pretty well destroyed most of our land and 80% of our forest. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt created the Civilian Conservation Corp to put men back to work and to repair the damage caused by what became known as the Dust Bowl.
I'll tell you a story of one guy back, he's about 25 years old. They put him in there, and I don't know what country, what state he went to, but he got so homesick he jumped out the window and killed himself.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know how, but it was a high building. Mm-hmm. That scared us all up. See, nobody wanted to go. But hunger will drive you doing most anything.
Yes.
And that's the way our family got. My mother's, my uncle Nate died. They left 4 kids, and my mother had me, my brother Tom, Johnny, and 2 sisters. And we was all out there on the Hell's Neck on the farm. And we had no way of making a living. My dad died when I was 7 years old.
Oh.
And we had an old mule, and that's the way we plowed our corn. Yeah. And raised a little bit of stuff to eat like that. That's all we had to eat. I don't know what you've been through. You ain't been through it that rough.
That was before my time, I think.
That was the Depression time.
Yes.
I worked for a quarter a day.
Oh.
I'm proud to get it.
When you went into the CCC, they paid you $1 a day, didn't they?
They paid me $5 a month. My mother $20 a month.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Okay, so they sent it home to Mama.
I kept Mom kept her from getting hungry, and them other kids. Yeah. I was going to tell you, my uncle and aunt, and they had 4 kids, and we're double cousins. And well, they died, and they was going to send them to the orphan's home. And my mother said, her brother said, "We'll help you, Minnie, if you'll take them up on the place and keep them." Said, "We'll help you feed them." Mm-hmm. But they didn't do it. She's left up there with all our family, and we had nothing to eat.
Yeah.
And that's how come Miss Marks, the home visitor, she come up there and said, "Miss Clark, you got any groceries in the house?" And Mom said, "No." Said, "I got a little bit of cornmeal and some beans, cornfield beans that we picked for eat." Mm-hmm. Said, "I'm gonna fix that for dinner." She said, "You got any lard?" Mom said, "No, I got a meat skin I grease pan with and get my bread out." Wow. I'm telling you the truth, I ain't lying to you. But anyhow, Miss Mark said, Minnie said, "Charlie, they're about old enough to go to CC camp." Said, "I can get him in CC camp." Said, "I can get you something some money to live on." Mm-hmm. And she said, "Would you go?" And I talked about that guy jumped out the window. Charlie said he was just homesick. That's how come in to jump out that window. I said, I guess I'll get homesick too. But I said, we got to live. And I said, "Y'all go." And
she had to sign for you?
Yeah, my mother had to sign for me.
Yeah. I heard it from someone, and of course I was 17, and my mother had to sign for me. And she didn't like the idea, but I finally talked her into it.
Well, having that extra income probably helped a little bit, didn't it, for her?
No.
They left it in the bank.
Did they?
No, yeah, we couldn't touch it till we discharged. Some guys was pitiful. Of course, we lived on a farm, and of course had meat, hogs, for our meat. And I guess living on the farm, we got food that a lot of people didn't have.
Mm-hmm. So after you had your breakfast, you do any calisthenics or anything like that?
Not that I ever knew. I never did. Now some of the other guys might have that did something other than going out and pecking on the rocks.
Oh, okay. When you went in, you were probably underweight. Did you gain weight?
I weighed 107 pounds, I believe it was. I had to eat some bananas getting this hair.
Yeah, there was a minimum. You had to be, what, 110 pounds, 160?
I ate some bananas, get me heavier, and let's go.
So when you went in, how much weight did you gain right off the bat?
Well, I can't remember that, but I did. I gained some weight because they fed pretty good in there. They had them big old aluminum coffee cans, coffee and make iced tea, and that big old aluminum pots.
Yeah.
Had tables, something like that, mess halls. And captain, he'd make us do the twist.
Oh.
I don't know how, but it was something new to us, but we'd make our back pop.
Little stretching exercises.
He was Army captain.
Yeah.
But before, left him, we didn't do none of that. Well, started out, they had no, all them roads around the camp, the park, they were dirt.
Yeah.
And we had to rock them.
Oh, okay.
We had an old rock crusher. It had a little big motor pulled it, and had a belt goes up, and he put me on that there belt, throwing the big rocks off it. It wouldn't go through the crusher.
Yeah.
And some guys down on the bottom had sledgehammers that beat them rocks up where it would go through the crusher. Oh. That was my job the first day.
The guys that hauling rock, I don't know, seemed like we had about 12 or 15 trucks. And they'd get up at morning, they'd go over and get a load and be back by lunchtime. Mm-hmm. And then go back after lunch and get another load. But I was one of the bunch that was out there with the hammer and the chisel after they brought these big rocks in.
Fence, they were built like a fence with rock.
Yeah, and then they just use them for tools to sit on, I guess, to rest.
There's 5 of us would get in an old dump truck. No GMC, they're green. Our old trucks were green, our uniforms were green. And they take the quarry down there to Mayfield.
Okay.
Down on 41 towards Henderson.
Yeah.
Or down towards Spotsville.
Seabury.
Seabury, there you go.
Seabury.
And they had an old air compressors on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
They had an old motor that pulled that air compressor. And they had jackhammers that went in them rocks and drilled a hole in them rocks and put dynamite in them and blow them up.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I wasn't there over a week or two. They put me out there on you beat on one of them rocks like that, you beat in the same place, you'll be a piece of it jump off about half big as that cure.
Wow.
And that's the way you take a big piece and you just keep beating on it, a piece will jump off there. And then you got to bust it up so you make it little enough where it goes through the crusher.
Oh,
well, I was on a great big piece about as big as that table there, beating on it. And Neil had a lead man named Neil. He was our boss. I think he was paid by the state. I don't know. But anyhow, he come by there and he looked at it. He said, "Charlie, said, get off that thing." He said, that rock's loaded. And he had a fuse water running out of it and a stick of dynamite in it. And I was up on it beating it. And they put a battery on it and shot it and busted it up. And I didn't know what I was doing, see. Now, that's stuff we went through with. Tell you a story I ain't supposed to.
Sure.
Yeah, scar my chin.
Yeah.
You know there where Highway 60 comes out there from Orangeburg.
Yeah.
And goes on into Henderson.
Yes.
The port's there. That was a place there that had a hole that dug. And I went down there to the show. We take 15 cents to go to the show. And I went down there and I was walking back to the camp. I fell in that hole, hit my chin on.
Splintered.
Went down there and they had one man in the front. He wasn't no doctor. He just kind of a nurse. And he put gold stitches in my chin. Yeah. I told him I fell on a brick.
I remember one day I come in for lunch, and they'd haul us from the camp back to where we was cutting the rock. And but to take us back in for lunch. I just got, boy, I'd been hurting all morning. And went down,
You had a dispensary?
Yes. Man, he called the ambulance to come get me. He had me in Evansville. I'd always said about 10 minutes they had a knife in me. Oh, and they said I was ready to burst.
His appendix.
Oh, your appendix was hurting? Oh.
Stayed there 10 days, which now they stay overnight.
Yeah.
Told me, said, don't you do a thing in this world now. For so many days, I don't recall what. I went back in, got back out to the company, went out there and got in an old truck. I busted that thing open. They I went down, they called ambulance, come and get me again. Stayed, I think, 7 or 8 days that time. But I never did, I done from then on what they told me to do.
You followed the rules.
Yes, I did.
There wasn't no cars back then.
Yeah.
We caught a freight train there at Henderson
Oh.
and rode it up. After we get off from work on the weekend, we'd get off, see. And we'd catch that freight train and come up there to Owensboro and get off there. And I'd get home the best way I could.
Oh, okay.
I'd walk from, you know where out there, Hoover Hills over here to Owensboro?
Yeah, I think so. Hoover Hills, yeah.
I walked from Owensboro there to that there Hoover Hill one night.
Oh my God. That's a long hike.
You know what I done? I got up on that bank. It was just, back in was just that old curve, well, just curve, double S curve they call it. I got up there and piled me up a big bunch of leaves and rolled up in them leaves and slept the rest of the night.
From Henderson to Bowling Green, there wasn't nothing but a gravel road. So I decided I was going to go home for a weekend, you know, on a pass. I got out there on that little rocky road. I guess it's about, well, it's done dark. Now I'm still out there and I haven't even seen a car for 30 minutes or more. I said, well, I'll just get over here and lay down the side of the road and take a nap. Then get up in the morning, maybe be more out there. Yeah. So I got up the next morning and I said, well, I'll get out here, maybe somebody come by and pick me up. Well, first thing come along was a man, his wife, I guess his wife, and 2 or 3 kids with a wagon with a pair of mules. He said, now, hey, it's slow going, but it's faster than walking. He said, I'm going, I think about 8 miles. I just jumped on this wagon and I rode down the road to got the, so I think wherever he was going. And then a Honeycrust driver, he picked me up then and said, well, I've got to make some deliveries. He took me into Morgantown and said, you go ahead, and if you're still on the road, when I head back to Bowling Green, I'll pick you up. But I had kind of a road ride rest of the way into Bowling Green.
We had a guy, Big John. He was a giant of a man. They had a little place over there on 41 going into Evansville, a little beer joint. And he'd go over there, and at one time they come in there and said they had a fight over there. You Copeland, and that's the name of the place. He said, old John whooped 5 guys. He was a giant of a man.
Yeah.
And he was a lead man. The CC Camp had a lead man.
Yeah.
That was a lead man.
And the boxing rings, now, this company commander, oh, he was a big guy. If he hurt anybody, you know, getting in fights, he'd put them in the ring with him. It was, guys kind of kept quiet about everything, it's like fighting. Now, I know we had one guy, oh, he was a lot bigger than I was at that time. And now, a big guy get up and do whatever they want to, but if you Elwood didn't like him at all. And man, he'd fight a circle saw. He could do anything he wanted to, that old boy, and he wouldn't act like he ever done anything. But then one night we was over at the tavern, and he got it smarting off and about Elwood. Elwood grabbed him by the collar and drug him to the door, and when he got him to the door, he hit him, and he rolled, boy. He never did
Mess with Elwood.
Yeah, that's right. Now that's one thing, man. If you want to get out and get in a fight, just go with Elwood. He was just like I found out in later years, just like his daddy was.
Sporting things that were at the camp, like boxing rings and baseball diamonds. And
I was a wrestler.
You were a wrestler.
There was nobody my side in my rink handling me.
Is that right?
I worked the sawmill,
Yeah.
and before I went down there, and I'd handle cross ties by myself, and I was pretty much a little man.
Yeah. And anybody your weight was
They couldn't handle me.
easy for you, right?
Now that Stutz, he's a boxer. I couldn't handle him.
Yeah.
He'd punch me to death.
So you did a little wrestling. Did you wrestle in that boxing ring they had there? Or?
Well, we used to get out there on the green grass and do it. We didn't have no ring.
Yeah, okay. What was probably your thing you were most proud of while you were working there?
Getting something to eat.
That's important. Yeah. And providing for your family?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to tell me I was building a dream, so I followed them all. When there was earth to plow, all guns to bear, I was always there, right on the job. They used to tell me I was building a dream, with peace and glory ahead. Why should I be standing in this line, waiting for bread? Once I built a railroad, I made it run, made it race against time. Once I built a railroad, now it's done, brother. Can you spare a dime? Once I built a tower,